Good morning, grade 8. Today we are going to mark exercise 6, page 135 that I gave you yesterday. So I hope it's clear enough to see the answers. Remember what I said yesterday? It is possible to have different reasons. If you are not sure about your reasons, mark the question and ask on Teams. I'll try my best to answer the questions that you ask there. Otherwise, mark it and next week I will answer all your questions. So there's the answer for question B. They asked you to calculate y. In question C, they asked you to calculate y. And I have an option that you can also use. This is an alternative method that you could use. There is question F, where they calculated x and used that to calculate y. And there is the answer for question G, which you can use to solve for x and for y. I do hope that it's possible that you can pause the video and just mark and make sure that you have the correct answers for these questions. Right, I'm going to start with a new one for today, and this is congruency. Now, congruent shapes are always equal in size and in shape. So if I say any polygon, and a polygon is anything with 3 or more sides, poly means many. So like we did with a polynomial. A polynomial was an expression with more than one term. Polygon is just a shape with 3 or more sides. And they are congruent if they are equal in size and equal in shape. So that means they must have equal sides and equal angles. Now you are going to see that we use here the word corresponding. And when I'm talking about the corresponding sides must be equal and the corresponding angles should be equal, then it means the following. If I said angle A is angle equal to angle D, and angle B is equal to angle E, and angle C is equal to F, then the side opposite this angle, which is marked with a cross, should be equal to the side opposite this angle as well in the other triangle. Or if I use the side here between those two angles, then that should be equal to this one. And this is what we call with corresponding. The side between that and this angle is on this side, the side between the same equal angles. So if all 3 sides and all 3 angles are equal, then I can say these two things are congruent. Another example is if you look at these 2 triangles, those 2 angles are equal. We know that because that's vertically opposite angles. Those 2 angles were equal. That was given. Please don't think of that it's alternate angles equal because I don't have parallel lines here. But they are equal and they are equal. It was given. And now those sides, they are equal and they are equal. So all 3 sides are equal to all 3 sides on that side, and all 3 angles equal to all 3 angles. Now in grade 9 we will learn for triangles 4 other conditions that makes it easier for us. But at this stage we must find 3 angles and 3 sides equal to say the triangles are congruent. If it's any other polygon, for example, if I have a square equal to another square, that's possible because that's a polygon, so a square. All the angles I know will be equal because that's 90, 90, 90. So I know all the angles are equal, that's a one condition. And then if all the sides of this square is equal to the sides in the other square. So this means if that side is 4 centimeters, that side should be 4 centimeters as well, because then I know all the sides are equal. and then I can say they are congruent. If I had another triangle, square here, where the angles are equal, because all squares will have 90 degrees, but if I said this square has side 5, 5, 5, 5, then this one is not congruent to the other two because the sides are not equal to each other. So those two will be congruent, but they will not be because the sides are not equal. So all the sides and the angles should be equal. That is what congruency means. So when we write it, we are not going to write congruent out like we have parallel lines. We have that symbol that we use for parallel. That way we use 3 lines that lies horizontally. This means congruent. So if I'm going to say triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF, then it means angle A is equal to angle D. And there they are. Angle B is equal to E. Angle B equal to angle E. Angle C is equal to angle F. There's angle C equal to angle F. Remember, they don't need to face the same way that I did with those triangles. They can face any way as long as I have that angle equal to this one. So I must always write them in the same order. If angle B was equal to angle E, then angle B is twice in the second in this one. Angle E will be second on that side. Angle C equal to angle F, so C is last there and F is last on that side. So those two triangles are congruent, and if I say they are congruent, I write 3 parallel horizontal lines. So let's do an example. I give you these 2 triangles. Now remember, it can be any shape. It can be a square and a square, or a rectangle and a rectangle, as long as the sides and everything are the same. So what I'm going to look for is I'm going to try to find in those 2 triangles, I'm going to try to find 3 sides, 3 angles equal to each other. So what we have is I know angle A is 50 and angle R is 50. So they are equal to each other. This was given. Angle B is 70 and angle Q is 70. So that is equal. They also gave me that, so I can write the reason given. Angle C is equal to angle P, both of them 60, so that was given. By the way, you can also write this as angle A is equal to angle R, both equal to 50. So instead of writing it like this, I can write it like that as well. So for all of them, angle B equal to angle Q, both of them are equal to 70. Angle C equal to angle P, both of them equal to 60 degrees. So either write it like that, or you write it like that side on the other side. Then, now I have 3 angles equal to 3 angles. So now I must try to find out whether the sides are equal, and that this must be the corresponding sides. Now if I look at AC, AC is 5,2, and AC is between the 50 and the 60. And on that side, between the angle 50 and 60 is also 5,2. So AC is equal to PR. AB is between the 50 and 70, and between 50 and 70 is RQ. That one is 4, this one is 4, so the corresponding sides are equal. And the third one, BC, is between the 70 and 60, that's 3, and between 60 and 70 on that side is also 3, so BC is equal to PQ. And now we have 3 angles and 3 sides equal to each other, which means my 2 triangles are congruent. Now how do I write the congruent down? If I write A, B, C, then on the other side I'm going to write RQP. So triangle ABC congruent to triangle RQP. Reason? Corresponding sides and equal angles are equal. Does the order matter? If the order matters, if A should be equal to R, B should be equal to Q, and C equal to P. But what happens if I name this guy differently? I can write this one as BCA as well, because BCA also form a triangle. But then angle B was equal to Q, so then Q should be first. Angle C was equal to P, so P is going to be second. And angle A was equal to R, so R is going to be there. And that way the corresponding angles, which are equal, will be in the same positions on both sides. 3 lines, congruent. If you call, name on the left-hand side, if you name this one as CAB, C is first, then P is first on that side. A is second, A was equal to R, then R is second. B is third, but B was equal to Q, so Q is on the third side there. So I can write it in a different order, but just make sure that those angles are equal to each other, and this you are going to find out on that side. So for tomorrow, I want you to try to do exercise 7, number A to D and F. So A, B, C, D and F. I hope you can do this. Remember to write all 3 sides, all 3 angles down before you can make a decision on that side.